Gamers are a resourceful and inventive group of people. The gaming industry is getting bigger and bigger, and as all of these corporate giants are conjoining together into this disgusting Lovecraftian horror, there is a growing divide as to what AAA studios think players want versus what they actually do want. Let me invite you on over to the PC gaming realm, where game files can be easily modified or tampered with, and everybody benefits.
Shoot him!
Okay, maybe not everyone, but it is definitely one of the benefits of playing on a PC. If you have any issue with a game, then chances are there's a mod somewhere on the Nexus or ModDB that'll either straight up fix it or provide some form of a workaround. Whether that be improving horrible looking faces, to adding new game mechanics, to even providing a fix that's necessary to play older games on newer hardware. To put it bluntly, mods are the sprinkles that you add onto a nice bowl of vanilla ice cream. Are they always necessary? Not really, but damn can they enhance the experience. Mods can greatly help to spice up gameplay and incentivize players to spend more time with their product, and no studio has recognized this more than Bethesda. Most of Bethesda's catalog was made on an old repurposed game engine that was intended for MMOs, which is partly why BGS games are so easy to modify. Bethesda also helps out modders by releasing their own software development kit, the Creation Kit, allowing anyone to pop open the hood and change anything they want. This has led to Bethesda games being the most popular games to mod, with Skyrim alone championing a whopping billion downloads over millions of files released onto the Nexus. It's gotten to a point that the mods have completely overshadowed the games themselves. Quest mods can be so good that the author gets employed at major AAA studios and win actual Academy Awards for their writing. I will always hold the belief that while mods can make games great, they don't make the games themselves. But what if modders actually did make the game? That's right, modding is at a point where modders are making entirely new games based on what's provided to them. Such is the case with German studio Sure AI, who have two total conversion mods spanning across two Elder Scrolls games, Nehrim and Enderal. The latter was heavily requested on my previous video about Scrolls-like games, and considering this video has been in the works for about a year now, I thought it would be a perfect time to talk about these two total conversion mods that could very well be better than the games that they were originally based on. This is Nehrim and Enderal. Nehrim is a total conversion mod for the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, meaning it runs on the same engine and requires a working copy of the game to function, but it provides a completely different experience. Environments will be different from Oblivion, certain mechanics will be overhauled and more fleshed out, and it even comes bundled with some other popular mods like Ren's Beauty Pack and Carl's Texture Pack. Character creation is a bit better than Oblivion, but that's really not saying much. Ren's Beauty Pack helps to make the faces a bit better, but you really can't expect too much from a game that released in 2006. One thing you immediately notice is a lack of recognizable races. Nehrim takes place in an entirely different universe with its own set of races and lore. There will likely be some parallels here and there, but for the most part, this will be a completely original story. This is also where I'm going to have to remind any interested players that this is in fact a mod from a game released almost 2 decades ago. The writing may miss the mark, especially in Nehrim due to the fact that this game is entirely in German with English text and subtitles, so you'll likely spot some odd translations.
Vor der Arbeit kommt das Vergnügen.
Sei ruhig, verdammt nochmal.
Since Oblivion is also not a very recent game that's stable with mods, the performance and stability can sometimes be complete poo-poo. Such is the nature of modding. Our adventure starts in the depths of Shadowsong Mine. We ended up here after receiving a note from an anonymous source, which many other hapless adventurers have received. We meet a friendly face who helps us get back on our feet. Upon looking at the UI, you will likely notice that you have a 4th bar under your magicka meter. This is actually for your experience progress. Oblivion has an unusual leveling system system where you level up skills in order to level up your character. This can make leveling fairly slow and almost incentivizes cheesing parts of the game in order to get fast level ups. Another issue with Oblivion is a level scaling. You could start a new game and pretty much go wherever you wanted with no difficulty. Nehrim is the complete opposite and has a more traditional XP and scaling system. Killing monsters, discovering locations, and completing quests will give you varying amounts of experience. Once you receive enough experience, you then open your diary in the inventory to level up and distribute your stat points. Leveling up will also net you a handful of learning points, which you can spend at various trainers to further level up your skills. Nehrim also features a traditional level scaling system, much like Morrowind. Areas will have their own levels, so if you decide to go into these areas under the specified level range, then be prepared for a rough time. As we navigate through Shadowsong Mine, we are slowly introduced to the various dungeon mechanics we'll be seeing. We'll be encountering special black cave trolls that can't be killed normally, so we have to rely on environmental hazards like traps and filling his nest full of torches in order to burn him alive. As we exit the mine, a mage appears and he informs us that he was the one who sent the letters, and braving the mine was just a test of our skills. Everyone who received the letter had the ability to use magic, and since everyone else perished in the mine, that means we are basically the chosen one. The mage instructs me to go to a special sanctuary to get more information. As we leave the mine, we are met with a sweeping vista. Sure AI definitely did their homework when it comes to BGS games because they completely nailed the walkout moment. I instantly got a feeling of adventure and awe at the sheer scope of the world. Traveling downhill, we come to an encampment that's blocked off from hostile mages. To pass the time, I do some work in a nearby mine, and it's here that I realize that the quests in these mods are a level above that of the Elder Scrolls. Most of Oblivion's quests involve killing or looting specific things, but Nehrim provides some unique quests like physically moving bricks to seal off a rat's nest, giving a guy soap so he can remove a helmet that got stuck on his head, and shooting a door's lock with a bow in order to detonate a goblin cave. It really channels those immersive sim elements that make the Elder Scrolls games so great to begin with. You'll have plenty of choices to make in Nehrim, not just during your quests, but also with your travels. While Nehrim has zones that are tailored for a specific level range, there are plenty of locations to discover. Don't venture too far though, as a mod heavily limits fast travel. You can fast travel by either using rare travel runes, or learning rare spells that can teleport you to a major location. One of the early locations I encountered was a typical ruins filled with bandits. However, I ended up finding some unique gear and discovering a boss. Most of the dungeons will have a unique boss that will drop special loot, usually pieces of a unique armor set that will give you a hefty bonus if you find all of the pieces. Around the world of Nehrim, you'll find tons of interesting things like collectible runes, a plant that gives you a permanent luck bonus, and special books that will give you some extra learning points. The combat is much like Oblivion's, so it's nothing to write home about. However, Nehrim is much more difficult. Enemies can be spongy even on lower difficulties, and health potions aren't super common and instead gradually heal you over time. After arriving at the sanctuary, I'm then allowed to choose my birth sign, which is basically your class. I chose the villain, which gives me access to greater abilities that can be cast once a day, and 2 stances that have a constant effect once toggled. They'll give you a boost to specific skills at the cost of draining other skills. The mage we met at the beginning of the game then fills us in on what's going on. Nehrim is ruled by 7 gods called the Lightborn, but they're not actually gods. They're just powerful mages who took over Nehrim after the world was created. Common people worship them, but since they are really mortals, they hold no actual divine power, so the Order of the Mages believes their ruling is bogus. As a result, their ultimate goal is to increase their ranks as much as possible in order to overthrow the gods so humanity can decide their own fate. And the main quest will have you doing some crazy things like enslaving yourself to free another slave and breaking out of captivity, to wiping the memories of a city guard who could jeopardize the entire mission. Nehrim is a very interesting project, but it majorly suffers from poor stability. The game crashes constantly, even with some fixes that I modded in from the Nexus. I assume parts of the stability problems are due to the numerous graphical mods that inject new features like bloom and depth of field, and that could be clashing with the old fart that is the creation engine. At first the crashing was an annoyance, but the more I played, the more frequent that would happen, to the point where it became unbearable. I was unable to finish this game mostly due to its size, and if I spent $100 100 hours to finish it, then you wouldn't see me for an entire year. So if you're interested on what happens next, then go download some stability mods and go try the game out yourself. All in all, while it does definitely show its age, Nehrim is an astounding accomplishment. It improves upon almost everything Oblivion has to offer while still providing a fresh and familiar feel. I felt like I was playing Oblivion again. For better or for worse. I feel this game isn't popular for what it is, but for rather what it started. The real star of the show here is what Sure AI cooked up for the release of Skyrim, and that is Enderal.
You fucking scum! You paid for that!
Nehrim was a hit amongst the PC modding community, so Sure AI set course for the next Elder Scrolls game to arrive, Skyrim. The mod hit the Nexus in 2016 and was eventually ported over to the special edition version of Skyrim, which greatly helps the stability and performance. After playing for a good 40 hours, I have only experienced one crash, and that may have been a self-induced incident due to me trying to alt-tab out of the game. Like Nehrim, Enderal also has its own dedicated Steam page with its own launcher, so you won't have to fumble around with switching profiles and mod managers. Enderal begins with a dream sequence, and you'll immediately notice that there are now English voices.
Oh, hey there. I didn't see you coming.
Which can be a double-edged sword. While it is better overall in making the game more immersive, it does make the disparity of the voice acting quality much more noticeable.
I don't even know how to thank you. 1 second later and that thing... I don't even want to think about it. Here, take this. It's a rare herb, and I hope it's compensation enough for your efforts. At least partially.
As you talk to your supposed dad, you realize something's very off.
Bring me a nice crisp piece of meat! Bring me a nice crisp piece of meat! Bring me a nice crisp piece of meat! Bring me a nice crisp piece of meat!
You then wake up on a ship and start the character creation process. The character creation is much more fleshed out than its predecessor. Not only do you have more races to choose from, but they also have racial bonuses that will make them more effective for specific playstyles. After creating your character, you and your buddy are confronted by a lady named the Veiled Woman, who ends up blowing your cover. Your partner is executed and you get thrown overboard. You wake up a second time dashed upon the shores of Enderal, and go through a small tutorial dungeon. Once you leave, you then talk to more friendly NPCs who notify you that you have a fever. You then get ambushed by bandits and get knocked out a third time. Honestly, a fever should be the least of your concerns, as you're collecting concussions like they're fucking baseball cards. Anyways, you wake up once again to meet Jaspar, one of the major characters of the story. Jaspar diagnoses you with arcane fever, which is common for spellcasters, but is affecting you a bit differently. Jaspar also warns you of the Red Madness, a mysterious disease that corrupts the minds of random people. To add on top of the English voices, the dialogue has been greatly improved. As you converse with NPCs, you'll sometimes have access to unique dialogue options that will not only fill you in on more of Enderal's rich lore, but also give you small amounts of experience, so it's always a good idea to ask around and get the lay of the land. The dialogue even includes an in-depth romance system a la Mass Effect. No longer can you instantly wife up a mercenary you picked up for 500 gold just because you're wearing a specific necklace. Now you have to grow with your love interests, talk with them, and spend a lot of time exploring their backstories and optional quest lines. After that truckload of dialogue, you're finally left to your own devices. Like Nehrim, Enderal features leveled areas that do not scale to your level. I much prefer this for many reasons. First, it makes locations feel much more hostile in early game. NPCs will mention dangerous areas like Whisperwood, and when you first discovered that location, the NPCs were right. This place does not fuck around. Second, it narrows down the burden of choice for the player while still giving them plenty of options. Instead of focusing on the entire game world, let's focus on what's around this small area. Maybe there's a unique location I've never seen before, or a unique item that I can pick up. Third, it makes exploration much more rewarding. Further areas can be pretty challenging, but if you can be smart and survive, you'll be handsomely rewarded with some powerful equipment and tons of experience. Special weapons and armor sets make a return alongside their set bonuses, and Enderal is densely packed with dungeons dungeons and locations to explore, despite being about half the size of Skyrim. Dotted around the world are special plants that can permanently increase your carry capacity, magic sigils that you can collect, and tomes that can give you memory points, learning points, and even new talents, like this one that shoots me forward in a ball of fire, knocking down and burning enemies. The combat and skill system improves upon what Skyrim had, but Enderal ditches the shout mechanic in favor of battle talents, which are basically just rechargeable buffs and skills that you can unlock through the new class system. The previous mod didn't really have a dedicated class system. It was more so just birth signs that would give you passive benefits with a daily power to sort of nudge you into a specific playstyle. But Enderal implements a more traditional class system. Upon leveling up, you'll accumulate 3 kinds of points. Learning points that you can spend with learning books to increase your combat skills, crafting points which behave the same way but for non-combat skills, and memory points, which are basically perk points that you can spend on your class to get better passive and active skills. Your class is mostly determined by how you spend your memory points. You have the 3 basic trees, warrior, mage, and stealth, but they also branch off into their own 3 sub-trees that encompass different specializations. For example, the warrior tree splits into barbarian, which focuses on 2-handed weapons and rage boons, a defensive sub-tree that focuses on armor and damage negation, and a one-handed tree that encompasses sword and board and dual wielding. You can spend your memory points wherever you want, but if you spend points into different trees, you may be able to unlock a hybrid class like the arcane archer and the blade dancer. One of the big changes of Enderal's combat is with the healing. Skyrim had a weird healing system which pretty much resulted in the player consuming an entire Italian restaurant's worth of cheese wheels to instantly heal a battle axe that was just lodged into their head. So Sure AI tackled healing in a different way. Food no longer heals a flat amount and gradually heals you over time, but only outside of combat. In combat, you can of course drink health potions and use healing magic, but doing this will worsen your arcane fever. The more you use healing magic, the more your brain gets overloaded with witnessing multiple realities, and if you're not careful, it can eventually kill you. To get around this, you can craft or buy ambrosia to lessen the symptoms of your arcane fever, but it's pretty hard to come by at the early parts of the game, so definitely take it easy on the restoration magic in this game. You'll likely notice that you can't fast travel in Enderal, much like Nehrim. Instead, there are various Myrad towers around the map that you can travel to, similar to the Silt Striders in Morrowind, as well as teleportation scrolls sold in most shops that will take you to the major cities if you don't feel like walking, flying, or riding a mount. Once you go out a bit, you and Jaspar travel to the main city, Ark, and damn, this place is massive. It's so big in fact that there are signposts you can interact with that can teleport you to the various quarters. Ark comes equipped with its own Myrad tower, a bank, a theater and bathhouse, several bustling markets, and of course the Sun Temple at the top. The major faction of Enderal is the Holy Order, who serves one of the Lightborn, Malphas. As you are initiated into the Order, they reveal to you that the rumors of the Lightborn's death is in fact true. As we know, the Nehrimese clap the gods alongside the Shadow God, making the continent of Nehrim the only continent that's not ruled by a particular religion. This is not the case for the land of Enderal, where the Holy Order takes great issue with the actions of the Shadow God, as they were protectors of the Lightborn Malphas. If news spread of the killing of the Lightborn, the Holy Order would then be illegitimized, leading to a Wizard of Oz type scenario where the Holy Order desperately attempts to keep the wool over the eyes of the public in an effort to prevent civil unrest. However, during all of this, the world is on the brink of undergoing what is called the Cycle, which is basically a cataclysmic event that flushes all of humanity down the toilet, where they all funnel into an omnipotent celestial being. This is our chance to learn the truth about the Cycle and prevent it once and for all. The main quest is absolutely brilliant and makes for an incredible interactive story, but that's not all. You also have tons of side quests, special faction quests, and character quests, which are basically loyalty missions with the major characters of the story. I remember one quest specifically where you had to manually input a passcode to get past a door, and later in that quest you had to fire a flaming arrow through a crack in the wall to blow up an obstruction. I fucking love this quest design. It adds so much interactivity to the game, and it really encompasses what makes Elder Scrolls games a cut above the rest. Now, Enderal is fantastic, but you can enhance the experience even further with mods. I first contemplated whether or not I even should install mods, but considering this entire game as a mod, I said what the hell. However, most of the mods I added are purely visual, changing the animations and armor styles to further divorce it from Skyrim. To wrap everything up, these mods are an incredible achievement in the modding sphere, and are honestly so good that calling them mods is a bit insulting. I wasn't expecting a team of modders to come up with an entire universe that's just as intriguing as the Elder Scrolls, but Sure AI managed to pull it off. These games are easy to set up and install, and at the whopping price of $0, the barrier to entry is almost non-existent. These games will easily keep your attention for hundreds of hours, mostly due to the length and complexity of the main quest. They are excellent choices if you feel burnt out on replaying a vanilla or modded Skyrim for the 50th time. If you feel like these games are worth real money, which you should, I'll provide a link in the description so you can donate to Sure AI and support a group of people who just wants to make great games. Of course, if you also like this video and think it's worth a like or a subscribe, then do that too and support a guy who plays fun video games and talks about them in a subjectively entertaining manner. Be safe, and Malphas's blessings to you.